What will we find in today's Inkblot? So this says a little bit about the timeline which I'm doing these. I want to create a backlog of these so that I can work on them without that sort of daily pressure that I put myself in with the daily ink monsters. And this one will be released sometime in August, but it is filmed right after my birthday in July. So I am, for the first time drawing one of these, a 46-year-old man, and I wanted to celebrate to acknowledge it with a self-portrait. And so I deliberately tossed the ink one way because I have a photo here where the shadow is slightly that way. And I'm choosing this sepia color because I used that a few days ago for my last random ink drawing, which was called So Tired, and I just loved that color. So I wanted to experiment more with it. Now I'm looking at the photo and at the Inkblot, and I'm trying to find where they look similar. This is here line is clearly a line down here, I think so. And I'm not going to try to be very accurate. That's sort of why I'm starting with the fan brush. I just want an impression. Usually I like drawing self-portraits from mirrors, but with the film setup I have now, it would be a little bit too much to also have a mirror. I just want to start filling in very carefully, sloppily, I mean, not carefully, not careful at all, filling in spaces. I wanted this to have some of the same sort of type of feeling as the last one I did. This very loose and open watercolory feeling. So let me see when I start taking away. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to go over to this, my messiest Chinese calligraphy brush. It's been used and abused for far too long, so it's almost impossible to get a nice clear tip on it. That's sort of a little bit of the fun using it. We're using quite a lot of water here. I want these blends to happen. I want to just move this is, usually I say I'm working with ink. This is actually liquid watercolor. So that explains why I can use it in this watercolory way. And the idea here isn't to get a perfect likeness. That perfect likeness takes time, and it's not necessarily as interesting, at least for me. One of the problems with this photo is it's a little bit dark and I'm getting a lot of reflections. But if I go in and I just adjust it a little bit and I do the light balance, then it's a lot harder to read the shadows on it. But I can get the general shape of, at least the shape of the beard, a little bit more. I like the ink that has gathered at the bottom of the nose here. Turning 30, turning 36 has been it's been a strange experience. I don't really take a lot of stock in birthdays or anything like that. I feel like I've been consistently me for my whole life, really. I don't have this separation in my head between, probably this is common enough, but I don't really feel a lot of this separation between my 4-year-old and my 14-year-old and my I'm just a continuation of me. So turning 46 doesn't really affect much of anything. But 46 has, the 46th year has been interesting and challenging. I've been in a, let's say, a family situation that's not dramatic, but it's been exhausting for the past 2 years, 2.5. I don't remember anymore how long. Ooh, took away all that niceness at the nose. Why did I do that? Yeah, so it's been a challenging family situation. Again, nothing dramatic and nothing I will talk publicly about, because any family situation includes other people than me, and I can say what I want about me and my life and my psyche and my diagnosis and all of that stuff. But I can't speak about my family in the same way, or about friends, or about colleagues, or I don't like speaking for others. And there are privacy issues as well, That being said, what I'm trying to aim towards is that it's been a really challenging situation, and I've not necessarily handled it all that well all the time. I'm switching to another brush that I can have slightly more control over, because we're getting gradually more and more precise with whatever we are doing here. Okay, so I haven't been really been built for the challenges I've been in, and that's been challenging in itself. And this whole year, 2026, I've felt like I've barely been awake at all. I've just been flat. Then I've been through some diagnostic processes. So I've gotten earlier this year, I was diagnosed with Asperger's, as it's called in Norway, or somewhere on the autism spectrum. And when I got diagnosed, I already knew that this was going to be the result, because I had self-diagnosed. I started to lose faith by the end, because you manage to convince yourself out of most anything. But I was pretty certain that that diagnosis was inbound, and that the autism spectrum diagnosis explained a lot of things about my life that aren't necessarily explained by my previous bipolar diagnosis. And then a little bit later, just a little while ago actually, I got my ADHD diagnosis back. I had gotten it for a little while, and then it got taken away, and then it got reinstated now after a more thorough examination. Which is good, because that means potentially I can try ADHD medication again, which is one of the few or only medications I've ever had that's felt effective. Felt that it worked in any sense. Yeah. But I can't go on ADHD medication because I have high blood pressure. And that was the sort of a third thing that's happened quite recently, is that I, after a few years of being on blood pressure medication and not monitoring my blood pressure enough, I went back, or I went to my new doctor and measured the blood pressure again, and it was really, 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 really bad. So bad that I got the message that if I don't fix it, I have a severely heightened risk of dying within the next 10 years. And guess what? I do not want to die within the next 10 years. That would be unpreferable for me. And it didn't set off any sense of fright or panic or anything like that, but it did set off a sense of purpose. So I've managed to take that message and meditate and imagine not the thought of me dying, because that's something I've meditated on and thought about, forever. But the thought of my kids losing their father or my wife losing me was not something I had meditated on. So I started doing that, and I started exercising more regularly, and I started on new heart medication and stronger heart medication, stronger doses of my old heart medication, and lo and behold, in just a few days, the sort of stupor, the eternal sleep state I had been in this year started to disappear. I started feeling awake again. Not perfect, but feeling like I could do stuff like a normal person. So conclusion being that part of what had gotten me down this year wasn't the bad situation I was in. It wasn't my bipolar or my autism or my ADHD. It was my heart not working, or working too hard, pumping blood through my system. And that's sort of, this is a lesson I've had to learn all the time, because almost every time there's something wrong with me, I naturally assume that it's my head. It's always my head. It's always my mind messing up for me. But once in a while, it's not. Once in a while, it is the body. Things that feel wrong don't have to be in the head. And that's a sort of a important reminder for me, because I've always, all my life, had trouble realizing how the head is connected to the body and part of the same organism. And I have slowly and gradually learned that they are connected, and that what I do in terms of exercise and sleep and all of that stuff is so incredibly related to how I feel mentally. But at the same time, it's so incredibly easy to assume that if I can't get that exercise done, if I'm not up for whatever goals I'm trying to meet, then that must be a willpower issue. That must be it must be my mental health not allowing me to do what I need to do. Filling in a little bit of this peach here, making my nose look a little bit drunk. Peach color there. A little bit more peach. Okay. Yeah, let's get a little bit more life into this. Very light peach color. Still, yep. And it sort of erases some of the sepia color. That might be interesting. Yeah, so the head and the body being part of the same organism, it doesn't just go one way where you know, it can go all sorts of ways. I almost said both ways, but it can go all sorts of different, interesting ways. Now I want blue eyes, but I'm thinking of using this purple, pink. I'm putting in way too much pink there. And I'll take it away in a little while. Want the nostril back. A little line under the beard back. I like how parts are just disappearing and coming back again. I don't want too much. I don't want it to be too rigid. So I want everything to be very fluid. Yeah, you can see there's a bit of a wobble in the paper, which doesn't look good on the video, but it will be when you see it in real life, it will look a lot better. And also we will get a lot of that shade away. It looks very wobbly on the video. It doesn't look as wobbly from where I'm sitting, and also it will, once it's dried, it will settle in a little bit more. Don't want to use any black on this. I want the face to be loose and open like this. And I want some lines going through the whole thing. This is just a feeling thing. And then just a tiny dash of white gouache. And we're going to clean the brush and get a tiny bit of it on the eye. That's a thick tiny bit, and then a thinner tiny bit on some of the parts that I want to get back. And I'm going to and again this will settle in. In a slightly different way than it looks while still wet. And we don't want to do too much, we just want to tighten it a smudge. A smudge, that's the word. Tighten it a smudge. Smudge tightening. Smudge tightening here. That one we will get slightly back. Yeah, I didn't need that one. Okay, I think we have a self-portrait for my 46th birthday. I think this is almost good enough. Let's see here. A little bit of this peach on the nose again. Lightly. Yeah, I think I like it. More painterly than I usually do. I consider myself a drawer, not a painter. This is definitely over into the watercolor painting territory instead of the classic ink territory. But I do use ink and watercolor almost interchangeably. So the black I use is always almost always the Indian ink, but a lot of the colors I use are actually watercolors. And I'll call it a random ink drawing still. And I will call this one 46 years old, and it is random ink drawing 13. Oh my. So now that I've revealed, you can watch this now. See, without the wobbles, you can see it better. We'll get away the wobbles in the drying process. But I like it. I like it. Okay, now you know the schedule for these, so a lot of the times, hopefully I'll be 2 months earlier, which means I can do things like in August I can start drawing Halloween images. But for this one, drawn slightly after my real birthday, and will be released late or mid August, and that means I'm still working on the Mastering Ink through Negative Space art course, online art course, and you can sign up for the waiting list to get some percentages off. And in August, it's getting closer and closer and closer. As I'm drawing this, it's still a little bit far apart, but now when it's released, it's closer. And yeah, 46 years old. Wait, my whole point with this what was turning 46 was slightly strange because of the years I've had now. But while things have layered on top, and I sort of feel like it should be heavy. In actuality, this is the most optimistic that I've felt on a birthday in a while, and it's all because I'm starting to feel my energy come back. And it's been a few years, and it's been especially this year, but it's been a few years, so it's a good spot. And happy belated birthday to me, yay!